Legendary Pokemaster, and today we are talking about these things. Some people call them Necrozma Forms, other people call them Ultra Forms, like myself, and we don't know really much about them at all. So in this video, with the information that we actually have, we will be looking for the origin of these Ultra Forms. With that said, without further ado, let's start. Okay, so this video has three main objectives. Number 1, get down to what exactly these supposed Ultra Forms are. Number 2, get down to how the Ultra Forms are created, or their origin. And number 3, combine both in a way to try and figure out why they weren't in Sun and Moon. So let's go into number 1. First off, you probably already knew when you came to this video that the Ultra Forms, as they've been named by the community, look like a fusion of either Solgaleo or Lunala with Necrozma, which is the third less publicized legendary Pokemon of Alola. Just looks aren't really concrete evidence though, so I see it in this way. Usually, legendary Pokemon have something going for them in terms of the story. Solgaleo and Lunala had this whole thing where you need to be revived and stuff, and the previous Pokemon like Xerneas, Zekrom, and Reshiram, and so on, each had a little bit in the plot. But with Necrozma, we really don't have anything. He's just there. Sure, you need to get all the Ultra Beasts and stuff for him to appear, but he's just kinda like an unspoken reward. For that reason, it would make sense that the Pokemon Company would give something to Necrozma in the upcoming games, like this. The only other time that this really happened was in Generation 5 with Kyurem, and specifically in Black and White. In Black 2 and White 2, there was a lot about him, but in Black and White, he was just kinda there. This leads us into our second point, which is where the Ultra Forms came from. When we look at Necrozma and Kyurem, we actually see a lot similar. This guy and that guy both have a limited story in the first games of the generation, both have supposed fusions, lower stats than the Pokemon they fuse with, and 2 potential fusions. With all of these similarities, and the way Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are positioned in a similar fashion to Black 2 and White 2, these extremely underrated games could actually provide us with a bit of ground for theorizing Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon's plot, and in turn, how the Ultra Forms came to be. With that said, don't blame me if I got this right and spoiled it for you people watching this in 3 months. You have been warned. Going forth with this assumption that the 2 Pokemon have similar stories behind them, when we look at Kyurem, we see that its fusions are caused by an item, which is understandable because it lets you fuse and unfuse as much as you want without worrying about losing some Pokemon somehow. Seeing that it would be kind of inconvenient any other way, we could probably say that Ultra Forms will be caused by an item as well. But what item? In Black 2 and White 2, it was the DNA splicers, so in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, I'd say it's the DNA splicers. But seriously though, it could be real. In Pokemon Sun and Moon, we see Colress visiting Alola to research basically the same stuff from Black 2 and White 2. And once some researcher that almost destroyed a region shows up, you know something's gonna go down. More than just like talking with him one time. Since in Generation 5, Mr. Internet Explorer was basically the professional at fusing stuff, it is possible that he is responsible for the Ultra Forms. In Sun and Moon, he didn't really seem to have any leads in his research though. And since it's safe to assume that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon will take place after the originals, this fusion might have been the product of his research. But Austin, how did he do it? I say the DNA splicers. No. Yes. No. Yes. If you think about it, in Black 2 and White 2, Colress had access to DNA splicers for some time, that being all the time between when they were stolen in Pellucid City, and when you battle Kyurem in the Giant Chasm. That's like a good hour of gameplay right there. During this time, he could have found out how the item works, or made a copy somehow, which, you know, would be kinda good if this kid's following you around, and used it to base his future research around. After Ghetsis' defeat in Black 2 and White 2, the direction of his research may have changed, but why throw away useful stuff? That said, he probably continued to research into making extremely powerful Pokemon like he said in Sun and Moon, and could have found Necrozma and the Cosmic Duo as suitable candidates. Because I mean, this one has an extremely powerful attack, and these have better stats. He's probably like, let's combine those! And so he made a new version of the DNA splicers suitable for these Pokemon, and in turn created the Ultra Forms. This would also explain point number 3 from the beginning, as by Sun and Moon his research into all of this probably wasn't completed. This could have been because Necrozma had not been discovered up to that point, because keep in mind the Pokédex says it's linked to the Ultra Beasts in some way, which had just started appearing in Sun and Moon. But anyway, that's just my theory on how the Ultra Forms came to be. This game is pretty far from release though, so there could be a lot of things to say, so what do you think? How were the Ultra Forms created, and why weren't they in the original games? Please leave a comment down below. You can also subscribe to see videos like this twice a week. Regardless, remember to check out my Discord, and I'll see you in the next video.